So now we are going to discuss about what is an SQL command builder. This is also one of the class which is deriving from system.data.sql client. It is used to prepare the statements by its own depends upon the structure of table information. What does it mean? So generally we are going to insert it, update, delete, all these operations we have to do. So we have to write a query for insertion, deletion, updation. But with the help of our command builder, so it automatically prepares the insert query, it automatically prepares the update query. All the queries it has to be prepared by its own. So that is the use of SQL command builder. So in order to do that, first we have to pass a table name. So in order to pass a table name, we can make use of two things. Those are SQL command. So SQL command in this here we are passing table employee. This is our employee table, and we have SQL data adapter. We'll discuss what is this in further sessions. SQL data adapter and dataset are the new things which you never ever see so far as part of our classes. But we'll see our primary focus is builder. See, I will give a snap of data adapter and dataset. Data adapter is nothing but it transports a query from our front end to back end. It only transfers the query, and once after the responses came, that response is not at all processed by our dataset, because dataset unable to process, data adapter unable to store the information what was the information that is provided by the database or nothing but backend. So in order to store the data, it can make use of dataset. Okay, data adapter is going to transfer a query to the database. So once the query returns a result, that it don't have a storage capability, that storage capability will be taken care by the dataset. So see here I have declared a dataset. So in this dataset, so this is our adapter.fill. So means whatever the response that is coming from, that we are filling to dataset with the help of our data. So this is the approach, and don't worry more on this part, because again we have to discuss more detailed in further session. So here what I'm doing is, so we have a command builder. For command builder as a whatever the adapter that we have, that adapter information will be passed as an input for this command builder. So here we can check get update command dot command text, and get delete command dot command text, insert command dot command text. We'll check what it will displace. So let us put a breakpoint here. I written this in a page load. So because at the time of loading only I want to know what is going to be happen for this. Usually whenever we are executing this tbl employee, for this employee we have a certain records which are already available, right? So here I'm going to, my breakpoint came, I'm going to execute this each and everything. Dynamic SQL for update command is not so aggressive, does not need column information. Column information is not totaled. I got an error. Let us go to this. That does not return any column information. So let us go to this delete command. Here also same error. Dynamic SQL. Oh, okay. This is because of it returns any key column information. This is because of, so we go to the structure of our table. So Alt F1. So for this table, you can check the definition. Our table name, this one. All these are column names, and this is identity key. So for this kind of activities, we have to create a primary column, primary key. There is no primary key which is available for this TBL employee, right? So that is the reason where it is not supporting for this. So what I'm going to do is, I want to give, like, I want to assign some primary key for this column, so that I can make use of this dynamic implementation. Just go to this and click on, so here in databases we have a tables information. Expand these tables, and what are the table that you want, you can click on this design itself. So I want primary key for ID column. So this is my employee ID. Just you can right click this and click set primary key, so that you'll see one of the symbol that is related to a key. So just you can save it. Okay, now your table definition has to be saved. Now you can check. So in order to know the definition of a table, just select the table and click Alt F1. So it will provide the definition of the table. So here you will get something, index name, and as well as this is primary key. So primary key, so pk underscore tbl name. So primary key is created for this employee emp id column. Okay, now let us execute.
You press Alt F1, right?
Yes, Alt F1.
Alt, okay.
So it is a best practice that you have to give a primary key for every, at least for one column in a table, so that it indicates that you are following a specific implementation approaches. Okay, just I want to comment this one. Up to here, we'll see what was the output. See, update a table, set name, department, E is active, right? Where empid equal to P4, and it is taking at that P5 and name is null or something. Maybe this also the reason where we don't, some value, if you want to pass some null values also, they can consider. This is one thing which is related for update. Okay, I want to segregate these things within breaks so that we can get to understand what is going on. So plus, I would like to add break tag so that each and everything is differentiated with the separate lines. Just I want to execute this one. See, first is an update query. This is an delete query, and this is our insert query, right? See, we didn't give anything, so but automatically these queries are being formed. This can be possible with the help of a command builder. Okay, so update query, delete query, insert query. How this is going to be came means, so here whatever the table that we passed, the table always contains a primary key. So by using this table, it gets the definition from the data adapter. So data adapter passes that table information to builder. Builder is going to get the information of the table with the help of builder dot get update command dot command text. You'll get update query, and if you use get delete command means you'll get query which is called delete command query, and for this get inserted command you will get insert command query. So now what you have to do is, see, for this insertion, so insert into table, so columns name department is active the columns, and values here p1 p2 p3 are the values that is expecting from the user, right? So p1 p2 p3 are the values, so we have to pass these three values to the query, so that automatically these values will be inserted at the DB level. So what I'm going to do is, I want to you know pass insert dot parameters at the rate p3 dot value equal to, so this value is nothing but I want to, for active, so I want to pass, this is a bit value, right? So either true or false, so I can pass it as convert dot to boolean of 1, or else you can pass it as a true. Okay, so p1 p2 p3 p1 p2 p3, it should be case sensitive here when you observe here. So p1 p2 p3 are smalls, we have to follow that case sensitive approaches. So now insert execute non-query. So now let us check in DB level executed, we have a 6 rows, right? Sorry, five rows. You'll get to know the rows count here. We have a totally 5 rows and last employee ID is 6. Okay, now I want to execute this one. So as per my condition, it has to execute my insert query, and one row has to be inserted at DB level. Okay, there is no error which I received, so just execute. See, with employee ID 7, one row is been created. Okay, it reduces our efforts in order to prepare a query. We can make use of insert, we can make use of delete, and we can make use of update comments. That is the use of a command builder. The name itself indicates that it builds a command based upon the table structure. Any queries?
No.
Rekha?
Yeah,
Any query? You are not listening or what?
I'm listening.
Then I'm asking, then you are asking again what? I didn't get you.
No, I was on mute.
Okay, yeah, that I understood, but I'm asking, am I clear or not?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Any queries on this? Just you can go through the code and let me know if you have anything.
Okay.
Prasad, please go through this code, and if you have anything, just ask me. Okay, this is a normal approach
Okay.
only. So only the thing is we make use of command builder, data adapter, data set. Instead of query insert update query, we can make use of command builders.
Hello.
Yes. Shall I
Uh,
proceed for further topic?
So just
yeah, yes, proceed.
yeah,
Yes,
we
Rekha, tell
can
me.
go through. Yeah, we can go through the code later. You can
Okay,
proceed.
okay. Okay. Next is SQL Data Reader. Okay. This is about command builder. Next is data reader. Data Reader. This is a class which is derived from system.data.sql client. System.data.sql client. It is used to read the entire values, which is used to read the entire values from the table and displays in a container controls, container type controls. See, say for example, let us examine a situation. I have a table. My table contains 10 rows. Can I accommodate all 10 rows in a single control? So far, whatever the controls that we tell, it can't be possible for to accommodate all the table values in a single control. Okay. Whenever we are going to use a SQL, data reader is going to read an entire information of a table, and it keeps, provides all the respective column informations in a row by row format, so that we can capture that information and we can display in a container type of controls. What does a container type of control means? If a control which accommodates more than one row in its internally, so then we will call it as a container controls. So for example, text box only accommodates a single value, right? So likewise, we have a few other controls. So apart from text box, like we can multi-line text box. If you want, we can accommodate multiple values in a multi-line text boxes. And see, if you want to take a radio button, we can't accommodate more values. If you want to take checkbox, we can't accommodate more values, because if you want to take a hyperlink or something, we can't accommodate. So in some controls we can accommodate. Those controls are, if you want to take a list box, then we can accommodate, because so much of list we can place. And if you want to take combo box, means nothing but a drop down list, there also we can accommodate multiple values. So likewise, we have a checkbox list. So there also checkbox list is different with checkbox. In checkbox list we can place multiple values. So likewise, we have a data source controls like grid view, and as well as we have a repeater view, form view, list view. We have different types of container controls. By using these controls also, we can accommodate multiple values in a single control. Okay. Likewise, if by using data reader, we can read the entire information from the table, and that information will be, we can access that information in a row by row format, so that which can be accommodated in the container controls. So let us check how this radio button is going to work in our practical implementations. I want to take web form, which is data reader ex. Go to the design. Just I want to take a table. So like I want to take two rows with only a single column. So in first row I want to take two rows, one column. In first row I want to take one button. I would like to display data like get data. So I want to take btn get data. Okay, and here I want to take one more control in order to accommodate the values. So I want to take list box. This is my list box. Okay, so I want to change the ID of the list box. LST box, so which we can like say emp box means I want to display the employee information. So here I want to click on this button, so you can take same using system dot data dot sql system dot data dot sql client. Okay, so here I want to make use all the steps. So I want to take SQL, SQL connection and as well as SQL command. Okay, so now I want to read the data. So in order to read the data, just I want to write a query here. Select start from TBL employee. Just I want to display the name. Okay, only the name information. So here select name from TBL employee, and this is the text. SQL Data Reader. So this is our class. Dr equal to new SQL Data Reader, and here we can use dr equal to cmd, or we can use directly command here itself. Cmd dot execute reader. So here I would like to display while if dr dot read equal to true. So now dr dot read equal to true means suppose if data reader contains a data, then dr dot read is true. If there is no data which is associated with this table means then it returns false. If there is no data means we will display some message like no data available, no data available. Okay, please check your data source. So now if data is available means we can make use of dr dot read. Dr dot next result. So now list box we have lst emp dot items dot add of dr of get data. Get data type name. So you can make use of 0 means say for example if you are pulling more than one column, so here only we are pulling one column, so which index is 0. Suppose if you are pulling name comma, so for example department means here we are pulling two columns, DEPT. Means here we are pulling two columns. So this is 0 and this is 1. Likewise, if you have multiple columns means we can add get that type name of 1, 2, 3 like so on we can add. So once after this reading is finished, we can close dr dot close means that data reader we have to close. So this is not at all required. So first you can observe the code. So what I did is, so here this is our command. So in this command we will pass what are the command that is required. Here my intention is to pull the data from the TBL employee table. So from this table I'm using command type. This is command type is text only. So you can execute that command. So with the help of dr. So we have three things: execute non-query, execute scalar, and execute reader. We already discussed what is execute reader. In order to read a table information and enter table information, we can make use of a SQL Data Reader. By using this, I'm using cmd.execute reader. If there is a data in the table, then we have a read function. Read function returns true. If there is no data means it returns false. So because we have multiple values, so that I'm using while loop to retrieve this information. So next result means it starts with the first row, and then once it picks the value from the first row, and then again it will check with the next row, next result till the end of last row. It keeps continuous. So just I want to execute this one, get data. What is the wrong with this? Let us check why the design is looks like. Properties. You can add basic at least one value. PMP data. Just I click on this. I put a breakpoint. Let us check what is going on. I click on this get data. So dear dot dr dot read has let's check what is going on here. One more time I'm going to execute this one. So data is not coming. That is the reason where it is not displaying. Let us check one more time. System got hanged. get value. So not data type, it's a get value. Dot to string. We can write this. You can use dr.read here, and I can remove this one. I'm executing one more time. I click on this get data. So like how many values that we have, all the values are reading. See, coming to this table, we have all those things here, right? So totally we have 6 values which are accommodated, 6 rows which are accommodated, like Suresh, Sunita, Bharat, Ram, Krishna, Kevin, all the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, including that one, 6 values. Okay, so this one. So I think this is not at all required. So which I don't. I added that one, right? EMP something. So EMP data. So before going to display the data, I want to clear the list. So this is a function to clear the list. So clear is a function. By using that, we can clear the existing list and we can keep on add the data. So now let us check, because one value is occupied with EMP data. So I click on this get data. So just I exit it. So, see, all my data is displayed here itself. So that EMP data is displayed. Sorry, removed. Why? Because I used that list EMP box dot items dot clear. Okay. In this way, we are going to read a data. We are going to read a data from by using a data reader, and that we will bind to our respective controls. So here my control is list box. I used my container control as a list box. Okay, so in order to do this, you can we can create a SQL Data Reader and object for this, and cmd.execute reader, and we can read this information. If there is a data, then we'll come to this loop. Otherwise, we'll write a statement that there is no data available, and if it is data is there, then we can make use of while loop and we can read the data starting from first row until the end row. This is about SQL Data Reader. Any doubts so far?
No.
No.
Okay. So next is SQL Data Adapter. Okay. So in this we will get to know data adapter, data set also. Data set also. Okay. So okay. This is SQL Data Adapter. This is SQL Data Adapter. This is SQL Data Adapter, and this is my database. This is my data set. Data adapter and database. This is a database. And this is data set. Okay. Adapter, the name itself indicates that it is a communication barrier. The name itself indicates that it is a communication barrier. So let us look the relation between these three things. Okay. See, SQL adapter sends a query to the database. Okay. It sends a queries to the database. So that query will be processed at a database, and again response will be sent by the database to the adapter. Okay, so we'll call data response is received by the data adapter, but data adapter has no capability of storing the data. Okay, so there is no capability of storing the data, rather it can act as a mediator in between database and dataset. Okay, now data adapter receives the response, and again that response will be forwarded to the dataset, because dataset is an in-memory object. Because dataset is an in-memory object, which means that is an in-memory object, which means that which occupies any amounts of data, means which will stores any amount of data. So data set itself, it is a collection of data table, multiple number of tables. In single data set, you can place n number of tables. So like you can take this, you can place T1 as a table, and similarly you can take T2 as a table, and similarly you can take T3 as a table. Likewise, n number of tables will be dataset has a capability to store n number of values, so that once response is received from the database, then data adapter forwards that response to the dataset, and again the dataset will be displayed according to the requirement. So whether it has to display or it has to or process anything, that will be taken care by the dataset as per the user's requirement. This is the relation of data adapter, database, and dataset. Data adapter is an connectionless. It doesn't require a connection, so it works with disconnected oriented architecture. Why? Because query will be forwarded by the command. That command requires a connection. So whatever the information that is available with command, that command information will be forwarded to the data table. So data adapter. So that there is a no specific requirement of connection is required for adapter, because anyway connection is available for the command. So through command only that information will be forwarded to the adapter. So adapter doesn't require a special connection. So that data adapter works within disconnected oriented architecture, but dataset works within connected oriented architecture. Okay, let us see how these things will be happen, and how we are going to display the data in real-time environments. See, I want to get an information. So what my information is, I have a table. My table has multiple number of rows and columns. In order to display these multiple rows and columns, I would like to make use of some of the container controls. Okay. So those controls are available here. Just I want to show you. I want to take a new web form. adapter ex. So design just table, insert a table. So columns 1, rows 2. So here I want to take one button. So I would like to rename it as get data. Btn get data. See, in order to display entire table information, here we have one section. That section is called data. In this data, all this will make use of this. So we can make use grid view. Usually we are most flexible to work with grid views in real-time environments also. Grid view, form view, okay, and as well as list view, repeater. So all these are the different things that they can display the data. So I want to take grid view. So entire our course, like will displays our information with the help of grid view only. And here we have an auto format option in which we can display our data in a professional way of styles. Okay, so like we have multiple number of styles. So we can make use whatever the style that you want. Just you can click on OK. Now when I click on this button, I want to get an information of one table, and that information I should display wherever display in my data grid view. Okay, that is nothing, that is my grid view. So first I want to import the namespaces. That is a common thing which we have to follow. So next, Sql command. I want to remove all these things. Okay, this is my grid view, right? So just go to the properties of grid view. Grid view is nothing but all these data related controls. It displays all the rows and columns which are associated with your tables. Okay, if you want n number of rows, because there is no other controls to accommodate all the rows information and columns information, but this data controls we can we can display entire information with the help of these data bound controls. We'll call these as a data bound controls. The controls which are associated with data type, we'll call it as in data bound controls. Okay. So now what I'm going to display is, so just I want to change the ID of this DGV. I will give the name as DGV, data grid view. Okay, so now when I click on this button, so first of all I would like to pass a query, select star from TBL employee. Star indicates that all columns. Okay, now I would like to take SQL command, sorry, SQL Data Adapter, DI equal to new SQL Data Adapter. Okay, so you can pass command to this data adapter because you have a command. Your command is available with command object. You can pass here. Okay, and then before you can declare data set, because we already discussed that data adapter has no capability of storing the data, so that it will make use of a data set. So data set. Now you can check. So data adapter is interacting with the database. Dataset has no interactability capability with the database. It doesn't interact with the database. Rather, it only interacts with data adapter. There is no connection direct with the dataset. So now, whatever the information that I have, so this information will be displayed here, right? So means data adapter has one method. That method is nothing but fill, da dot fill. So means we are filling that information into the dataset, and you can give some of the alias name for your table. So this is nothing but imaginary. So now your information is available with dataset. So first your data adapter interacts with the database, and database process your query and provides some response. That response is received by data adapter, and data adapter pull that response to the data set. Now your data set has some information. So now it's time to display this data set information with the help of our grid view. Okay, so our grid view name is dgv.dataSource. We can provide our source information ds.tables of x. So x means this is nothing but an imaginary. So imaginary table name. You can give anything, one or two something, whatever you want you can give. So and we have one more method dgv.data bind. Bind means the data will be bound itself automatically. Means that will be bind to particular control. Okay. So now I want to execute this web form. Let us check what was the output and how it is going to be displayed for us. When I click on this get data, so automatically my information will be displayed. So and replica of my table information. Execute this one, empid, name, department, all this information will be displayed for us. Okay, this is the use of data grid view. So and as well as this is the use of data set and as well as data adapter.
Okay.
So far any doubts?
No, it's okay.
No.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, so I already told you that data set has a capability of storing multiple tables, right? T1, T2, like it will store multiple number of tables. So I will show you how it is going to be stores multiple number of tables. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I have a table. So I have a table. So one table is T1, another is table is T2. I would like to pass my table information to my data set. Okay. So let me show you how I can process that one. I would like to take one more command here at the end of this. I would like to start. Okay. So at the end of this I would like to start. So here I would like to take SQL Data Adapter. So this is a new data adapter equal to new data adapter. So here select star from, I want to pull the data so from another table. So we have two tables right here. So I would like to pull the data from student table, TBL student. So I would like to pass this query to this SQL Data Adapter. Okay, or else you can take one SQL command cmd1 equal to new SQL command. You can pass that one here, connection. Okay, so instead of command you can pass that cmd1 here, cmd1 here. Now what I'm going to do is, so data adapter has some information da1 dot fill of ds, and here you can give the name for this table as y, because don't give the same names. If you give the same name means this information will be overridden with this information, so don't give the same name. So now I want to display this information also, means here your data set contains two tables, one is x table and other is y table, right? I want to display y table information in one more grid view. I want to take one more grid view here. So this is my one more grid view. Just I want to make a format like this one. So just okay. So I would like to give the name as DGV student. Okay. So I will go to the code. So my information is available with data set. So next DGV student dot data source. So data source equal to ds dot tables of y. Next dzv student dot data bind. So we are binding this information. So the main intention of this example is, so I want to proves you that data set accommodates multiple tables information. So here x and here y. Just I'm going to execute this one. When I click on get data button, when I click on this get data button, so I have to show two tables. Those two tables are displayed here itself. Okay, this is employee table and this is an student table. Okay, in this way we can store multiple tables in data set. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all. This is the different concepts which are associated with our data. Data table, data row, data set, and a data adapter, and the data grid views. Okay. So I want to introduce one more class, that is nothing but a data table. Okay. So give me 2 seconds, like 2 minutes. I will get back to you.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll discuss about data table. So data table also derived from system.data.sql client. So generally when we get the data from database, that can be represented with the help of our data bound controls like grid view, form view, list view, like that. But this data table, we can create our own data table, and without getting from the database, we can display wherever it is required. Okay, so for example, I have a data table. Data table is a collection of rows and columns. It's nothing but row and column collection. So whenever we are going to work with a data table, we can take three classes. One is a data table class, and other is a data column class, and other is a data row class. Okay, data table provides a high level of structure, and data column provides a low level of structure which are related with a column. So in which we can specify the column name, and as well as we can specify the data type of the column. Like, it always depends upon our requirement. May some table have 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. N number of columns that we can take with the help of data column. And in order to get this information, and we required some data. So some data means rows information. We have to add rows information. That rows information is added with the help of a data row class. By using this data row class, we can create a new row and we can pass values, how many values that we have, so that once these values are available, and we can bind with our data bound controls. Okay, this is a syntax of creating a data table, and this is a syntax of creating a data column. So like you can create this way or this way. So data column and the object of the data column, you can give any of the name as an object, and you can use new data column. You can specify column name and data type. So here new column. So I have ID as a column. So for this ID column, I can make use data type. Data type equal to system.type.getType. If it is a string, if it is envarchar related, you can use a string. If it is integer, you can make it as a system.int. If it is bool, you can make it as system.boolean. Like that we can create. So once you can add all the columns, you can add all the columns with the help of dt.columns.add dc, dc1, dc2, 3, like how many columns you have, you can add all the columns. So once your columns is added, means this column 1, 2, 3, 4, like columns is added, you have to pass the data to each and every row, right? So for passing the values to the data, so we can make use of data row class. By using this data row, we'll create an object for the data row and dt dot new row. So we can create a new row and pass dr of 0 equal to, means 0 means it indicates that first column value, and dr of 1 you can pass second column value, dr of 2 like you can pass third column value. So likewise you can pass and you can bind this information to the grid view so that the grid view will displace your data. So I want to show you an example how we can make use of data table, rows, data columns. So here I would like to take new form, add new item. So I would like to take a new form. So in this form, data table ex, okay, table, insert a table. So just I want to take two columns. So two columns and as well as two rows. Like I would like to take three rows. Okay. So here name. Just I want to pass a name. So for this name and as well as I would like to pass qualification and as well as qualification designation, and I would like to insert one more row. Okay. Here I would like to take a text box. Txt name, txt quali is for qualification, and for this txt designation. Okay. So here I want to take button. So for this button, get data, btn get data. So similarly here I want to take one grid view. This is my grid view. So let us check how we are going to write. Using system.data data.sql client, and we can take SQL connection con, and SQL connection con is okay, and there is no connection is also not at all required because we are make use of we no need to interact with the database, just we will display what are the data that we have and we entered in data table, and the data table will display with the help of a data grid view. So not required. So just I want to take connection also not at all required. So I want to take data table equal to new data table. So likewise I want to take data column. So column equal to dc1 equal to new data column. Here you can give the column name, whatever the column you have. So my column name is name. So here you can give the type of string. Likewise we can give, this is nothing but my data type. Okay, likewise you can add column name for dc2. So this is for qualification. So this is also string column, and as well as this is for dc3. This is also for name, qualification and designation. This is also string. So now I prepared my data table, just I initialized my data table, I prepared my data columns. Now I have to add these columns to my table. So here we have a structure, columns dot add of DC1, means this is nothing but column 1, likewise column 2, column 3 we can add. This is for 3 and this is for 2. Okay, columns are added here itself. So now we want to take a data row, right? Data row dr equal to dt dot new row, means we are creating a new row here itself. Just we can make use dr of 0, means first column. So first column, whatever the value that which is entered in for the text box, that information will be taken as a first column information. So this is dr. So this is data row. For every row we have multiple number of columns. All columns information we are going to pass like this. Dr of 1 equal to txt qualification dot text. So dr of 2 equal to txt designation dot text. Okay, so means your data table has some data. Okay, so this dt dot rows dot add of dr, means we are adding that entire information to this data table. So now data grid view, we have data grid view, right? Data grid view, what is the name that we given for this data grid view? Let us check the name. Okay, just grid view. Okay, dzv, I will give the name id as a dzv, so that dzv dot data source equal to dt dzv dot data bind. So we are binding. See, grid view requires a table information. Okay. So here in previous example we took data set. Data set we already discussed that it is a collection of tables. So which is a collection of tables. That is the reason where we are specifically giving the table name. Like how ds dot tables of 0 of 1, like that we gave an example, right? See, ds dot tables of x means a specific table name we are passing. Suppose if we have only a table, just to directly give the table name, because here table is deriving from the data set. That's the reason where we are using ds dot tables of x. So but here we have a data table, directly assign that data table to this data set. Grid view always expects a table information, and you can bind this info dgv dot data bind. So here you can execute this one and you can get to know how was the output. So name, so for example Sairam, so qualification MTech, and so for example designation associate professor. When I click on this get data, and that information will be added to my grid view. So likewise we keep execute, so that we can prepare our data and we will display the data whenever it was required. Got my point?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. This is the use of data table, data row, and data column.
Mm.
Okay. So for this, we completed, so providers nothing but command, connection, parameters, data reader, adapter, command builder, working with dataset, data grid view, data table, data column, and data row. Okay, so this part, entire application, okay, and connection and disconnection is nothing but a theoretical things. So command, okay, command, connection, and as well as data reader all comes under connection oriented environment, and only command data adapter and command builder comes under disconnected oriented architecture, because for this they doesn't requires a connection, because anyway command requires a connection. Command process the query and it will forward to the data adapter or command builder. Okay, so this is one of the important concept implementing entire applications, and as well as card operations with grid view, that we will cover in in next session.
Okay.